What in the hell is that?
Weng Weng, I love you, my Weng Weng. Come to me and kiss me. I love you, Weng Weng.
Interpol here.
I am fairly sure there is nothing on God's green earth quite like Weng Weng.
Oh, God, you said it, man. Like, listening to this opening song, all those sounds of punches, every one of those punches was landed on a testicle. All he can do is nut punch, and it's fantastic.
Holy shit. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out Too Much CGI, the podcast. Too Much CGI. Some people get the name. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. Other people goes right over their fucking head. But what's it about? We're reminiscing about all the cool shit that we loved from the early days when we were youngins. Remember those days? We were kids. Things were different then.
You said it.
We had worlds where Weng Weng could exist. Nowadays, you can't make a Weng Weng. Because if they tried to make a Weng Weng now, it would be a CGI little animal. There is no way today that they would take a little person and exploit him in any capacity like this Weng Weng character. Now, Weng Weng is the character's name. Let me set everybody up here because we're already jumped in. We started talking about it in the last episode, but I know you've seen some of it. I watched the whole damn movie. I couldn't stop. I was totally sucked in. Oh, it's a Filipino James Bond ripoff. At some point, they even say, you think you're a James Bond, don't you? So it's like so self-aware. But the main character, first, before I even say who the main character is, it's so poorly edited that you think an amateur did it. Well, clearly an amateur did it.
Sure.
Because the thing just at times made no sense. They're talking and then all of a sudden they're somewhere else finishing the conversation. Like weird directing, weird editing. But the main character, Weng Weng, how tall is he? I mean, 4 foot?
3 foot, 3.5 foot tops.
Well, it's like Webster. I mean, Webster being an action star. That's what this was. And the fucker can jump and he can punch. Like there's times when he got into this like fisticuff thing and his fists are just going pop, 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 pop. I was like, this fucker can actually throw some punches.
Yeah.
He's fast. And some of the heights that he was leaping from. And when they threw him at the people on the stairwell.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I don't even know if he was jumping or if he was just being thrown from off screen into like 6 foot, 7 foot tall guys. And he just lands and then just like kicks them in the face while they're down. And then like just final nut punch or a nut kick. Either way, nuts were involved.
Yeah, he does his own stunts. But the absolute, just beyond best thing about this movie, the people that tried to overdub it had no script, apparently, had nothing to work off of except the footage edited together in this monkey way that it was put together. And they had to cobble some kind of script.
Yeah.
And there are times where halfway through, they just start saying bullshit because they just had no idea what words they could push in here to create a narrative because the movie was just so disjointed.
The overdubbing is so bad, you can picture how bad it is just by hearing that opening song.
And this is just one. This is the For Your Height Only.
This is the one I watched. Yeah, For Your Height Only.
Yeah. And then they have the other one, which is called
Agent 00.
That supposedly is one that's really hard to find or is out of circulation. It is missing.
Oh.
There's some sort of story behind that one. I'm not done researching that one. The other one that people seem to like is The Impossible Kid.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as For Your Height Only.
Clearly a play on For Your Eyes Only from 007. Much like Agent 00, they just dropped 7 and, 00 because he's small. It's funny. This is short exploitation, I guess you can call it. I hope the dude got paid and taken care of because they certainly exploited and made money off of him.
And the voice that they put on him, the American voice that they gave him, I mean, that did him no favors. He was really good at sliding on the ground. Like that was something that they must have figured out they could do. Because this guy did his own stunts, right? So somebody must have been like, hey, what can you do? Well, if you throw me, I can slide really far on a well-oiled floor.
Ow, my little head.
Oh, God, when they did that, at one point you see him slide, and that's how he gets the jump on these bad guys. And he's first, there to pull the gun because he slides in. But this one time he slides too far, and he hits his head on the wall. And you hear them just throw it in kind of softly. The people overdubbing. Oh, my little head.
Oh, my little head.
At one point, they like make him walk. They're like, I have to use my little feet. I was like, this is so fucking wrong.
Yeah, it's demeaning. It's fucking demeaning.
There's other parts where he's cool with shit. So it's like they flip-flopped all the time on how they wanted this character to be.
Do you have a favorite part of the movie?
Yeah.
I have an answer for it. Well, let's hear yours. There's so many to choose from, but I want to hear your favorite.
Notice I had no hesitation. When all of a sudden, Weng Weng is back in his version of Q's office, and Q's like, we have a new gadget for you, Weng Weng. And he gives him a jetpack.
Yes.
Once he's got the jetpack, I think I enjoyed watching him fly around in that jetpack way more than I think I was supposed to. It was so fun to watch them just fly him around, and they didn't take the camera off him. It looked so silly and ridiculous.
My favorite part, that was a good part. My favorite part also involves flying, but not with the jetpack. There's the clip of him jumping off the top of the building, and he's using an umbrella as a parachute.
Yeah, amazing.
And one thing I have to say about Weng Weng, no CGI. This was a baby doll toy tied to an umbrella and thrown off of a high-rise building, and it's supposed to be Weng Weng like parachuting with an umbrella down to the ground.
Unfortunately, it was a really windy day, and the dummy was flopping around.
It just flies around in a circle the way that you would imagine an umbrella to naturally fall. Spectacular.
Yeah. And it had that trope of he's being chased at a hotel, so he quickly breaks into a room to sneak out the window, but it's a stranger's room, so it's that funny, oops, sorry, ma'am, didn't mean to sneak in on you. So there's a woman in bed, and he's, sneaking through, and he turns around, he looks at her, they lock eyes, and they just start making out.
Yeah.
And he's like on the run because these guys, but they had to do the trope. And you see this woman making, like, he's a romantic. He's making out with women through the whole thing. Everyone's falling in love with Weng Weng. It's so good.
What year was Weng Weng put out? It felt 70s to me.
Oh, clearly. Had to be. It just had that 70s tone. But it could have been late 60s.
I have a hard time with late 70s, early 80s, because some of that stuff sneaks in too.
Wow, man. It's 1981.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like that weird little buffer.
You got it. I would have never thought it was this recent.
Some of the other overdub voices were just so well done too, like the Chinese or the Filipino man that just speaks like, yeah, see, yeah, we're gonna get him, yeah, we're gangsters, see.
Oh yeah, he was good. Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was trying to do that impression or a Humphrey Bogart impression.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that could have also been the way they were going.
Yeah, man, it's stuff like that. It's too good. You all have to find it. I found it free on YouTube. It's just out there streaming. Nobody seems to be making any money on it. Where'd you find it?
Oh, the full video is right there on YouTube. Absolutely. My wife watched it. We were a half hour in. She was watching it. She was sitting in the room while I was watching it. She goes, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was like, this is Weng Weng. She was like, what? And she was like, why are you still watching this? Like 20 minutes in. And I just kept going. She goes, this is fucking dumb. And I was like, you're just not in the right mood. You have to be in the right mind space to appreciate the Weng Weng.
You really do. Amy watched it with me, and she made it through the whole thing. And like I would hear her chuckling at times, like because the script is bad. Oh, that gun, that's a real humdinger. And I would hear her just laugh like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's a real humdinger.
Oh, yes.
Man. All right. So 1981, The Philippines for Your Height Only was released on September 2nd, 1981. The same year, First Lady Imelda Marcos organized the first Manila International Film Festival. The objective of the festival was to promote Filipino films for them to be distributed worldwide. And this is what they were going with. They were like, this is how we do Hollywood, Philippines. Weng Weng. Whoops. Maybe not a great try. Maybe a little bit of a swing and a miss there, but it's pretty good now. These things age like fine wine.
It was ahead of its time. To give some perspective to some listeners that might be curious, where would you say Weng Weng rates compared to another classic such as, say, Nuki?
Oh, I think they're on the same playing field.
Top of the heap.
Dude, can you imagine a Nuki and Weng Weng crossover? When you can imagine a universe like that, that means these are good franchises. If you can't imagine the universe, no good.
I can definitely imagine that. Yes.
I can imagine it too. It would be great. God, Nuki would just be dancing. Weng Weng would be doing his karate, slipping around him. There was a part in Weng Weng in this movie where he's just hiding in a bush. Like it's the littlest bush. And four men couldn't find him because he was just sneaking around through this little bush around their legs.
What in the hell is that?
Weng Weng, I love you, my Weng Weng. Come to me and kiss me. I love you, Weng Weng.
Interpol here.
I am fairly sure there is nothing on God's green earth quite like Weng Weng.
Oh God, you said it, man. Like listening to this opening song, all those sounds of punches, every one of those punches was landed on a testicle. All he can do is nut punch, and it's fantastic.
Holy shit. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out Too Much CGI, the podcast. Too Much CGI. Some people get the name. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. Other people goes right over their fucking head. But what's it about? We're reminiscing about all the cool shit that we loved from the early days when we were youngins. Remember those days? We were kids. Things were different then.
You said it.
We had worlds where Weng Weng could exist. Nowadays, you can't make a Weng Weng. Because if they tried to make a Weng Weng now, it would be a CGI little animal. There is no way today that they would take a little person and exploit him in any capacity like this Weng Weng character. Now, Weng Weng is the character's name. Let me set everybody up here because we're already jumped in. We started talking about it in the last episode, but I know you've seen some of it. I watched the whole damn movie. I couldn't stop. I was totally sucked in. Oh, it's a Filipino James Bond ripoff. At some point, they even say, you think you're a James Bond, don't you? So it's like so self-aware. But the main character, first, before I even say who the main character is, it's so poorly edited that you think an amateur did it. Well, clearly an amateur did it.
Sure.
Because the thing just at times made no sense. They're talking and then all of a sudden they're somewhere else finishing the conversation. Like weird directing, weird editing. But the main character, Weng Weng, how tall is he? I mean, 4 foot?
3 foot, 3.5 foot tops.
Well, it's like Webster. I mean, Webster being an action star. That's what this was. And the fucker can jump and he can punch. Like there's times when he got into this like fisticuff thing and his fists are just going pop, 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 pop. I was like, this fucker could actually throw some punches.
Yeah.
He's fast. And some of the heights that he was leaping from. And when they threw him at the people on the stairwell.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. When I don't even know if he was jumping or if he was just being thrown from off screen into like 6 foot, 7 foot tall guys. And he just lands and then just like kicks them in the face while they're down. And then like just final nut punch or a nut kick. Either way, nuts were involved.
Yeah, he does his own stunts. But the absolute, just beyond best thing about this movie, the people that tried to overdub it had no script, apparently, had nothing to work off of except the footage edited together in this monkey way that it was put together. And they had to cobble some kind of script.
Yeah.
And there are times where halfway through, they just start saying bullshit because they just had no idea what words they could push in here to create a narrative because the movie was just so disjointed.
The overdubbing is so bad, you can picture how bad it is just by hearing that opening song.
And this is just one. This is the For Your Height Only.
This is the one I watched. Yeah, For Your Height Only.
Yeah. And then they have the other one, which is called
Agent 00.
That supposedly is one that's really hard to find or is out of circulation. It is missing.
Oh.
There's some sort of story behind that one. I'm not done researching that one. The other one that people seem to like is The Impossible Kid.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as For Your Height Only.
Clearly a play on For Your Eyes Only from 007. Much like Agent 00, they just dropped 7 and, 00 because he's small. It's funny. Yeah, this is short exploitation, I guess you can call it. I hope the dude got paid and taken care of because they certainly exploited and made money off of him.
And the voice that they put on him, the American voice that they gave him, I mean, that did him no favors. He was really good at sliding on the ground. Like that was something that they must have figured out they could do because this guy did his own stunts, right? So somebody must have been like, hey, what can you do? Well, if you throw me, I can slide really far on a well-oiled floor.
Ow, my little head.
Oh God, when they did that at one point you see him slide, and that's how he gets the jump on these bad guys. And he's first, there to pull the gun because he slides in. But this one time he slides too far and he hits his head on the wall. And you hear them just throw it in kind of softly. The people overdubbing, "Oh, my little head.
Oh, my little head.
At one point, they like make him walk. They're like, "I have to use my little feet." I was like, this is so fucking wrong.
Yeah, it's demeaning. It's fucking demeaning.
There's other parts where he's cool as shit. So it's like they flip-flopped all the time on how they wanted this character to be.
Do you have a favorite part of the movie?
Yeah.
I have an answer for it. Well, let's hear yours. There's so many to choose from, but I want to hear your favorite.
Notice I had no hesitation. When all of a sudden, Weng Weng is back in his version of Q's office, and Q's like, "We have a new gadget for you, Weng Weng." And he gives him a jetpack.
Yes.
Once he's got the jetpack, I think I enjoyed watching him fly around in that jetpack way more than I think I was supposed to. It was so fun to watch them just fly him around, and they didn't take the camera off him. It looked so silly and ridiculous.
My favorite part, that was a good part. My favorite part also involves flying, but not with the jetpack. There's the clip of him jumping off the top of the building, and he's using an umbrella as a parachute.
Yeah, amazing.
And one thing I have to say about Weng Weng, no CGI. This was a baby doll toy tied to an umbrella and thrown off of a high-rise building, and it's supposed to be Weng Weng like parachuting with an umbrella down to the ground.
Unfortunately, it was a really windy day, and the dummy was flopping around.
It just flies around in a circle the way that you would imagine an umbrella to naturally fall. Spectacular.
Yeah. And it had that trope of he's being chased at a hotel, so he quickly breaks into a room to sneak out the window, but it's a stranger's room, so it's that funny, "Oops, sorry, ma'am, didn't mean to sneak in on you." So there's a woman in bed, and he's, sneaking through, and he turns around, he looks at her, they lock eyes, and they just start making out.
Yeah.
And he's like on the run because these guys, but they had to do the trope. And you see this woman making, like, he's a romantic. He's making out with women through the whole thing. Everyone's falling in love with Weng Weng. It's so good.
What year was Weng Weng put out? It felt 70s to me.
Oh, clearly. Had to be. It just had that 70s tone. But it could have been late 60s.
I have a hard time with late 70s, early 80s, because some of that stuff sneaks in too.
Wow, man. It's 1981.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like that weird little buffer.
You got it. I would have never thought it was this recent.
Some of the other overdub voices were just so well done too, like the Chinese or the Filipino man that just speaks like, "Yeah, see, yeah, we're gonna get him. Yeah, we're gangsters. See."
Oh yeah, he was good. Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was trying to do that impression or a Humphrey Bogart impression.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that could have also been the way they were going.
Yeah, man, it's stuff like that. It's too good. You all have to find it. I found it free on YouTube. It's just out there streaming. Nobody seems to be making any money on it. Where'd you find it?
Oh, the full video is right there on YouTube. Absolutely. My wife watched it. We were a half hour in. She was watching it. She was sitting in the room while I was watching it. She goes, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
I was like, "This is Weng Weng." She was like, "What?" And she was like, "Why are you still watching this?" Like 20 minutes in. And I just kept going. She goes, "This is fucking dumb." And I was like, "You're just not in the right mood. You have to be in the right mind space to appreciate the Weng Weng."
You really do. Amy watched it with me, and she made it through the whole thing. And like I would hear her chuckling at times, like when because the script is bad. "Oh, that gun, that's a real humdinger." And I would hear her just laugh like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. "That's a real humdinger."
Oh, yes.
Man. All right. So 1981, The Philippines for Your Height Only was released on September 2nd, 1981. The same year, First Lady Imelda Marcos organized the first Manila International Film Festival. The objective of the festival was to promote Filipino films for them to be distributed worldwide. And this is what they were going with. They were like, "This is how we do Hollywood, Philippines." Weng Weng. Whoops. Maybe not a great try. Maybe a little bit of a swing and a miss there, but it's pretty good now. These things age like fine wine.
It was ahead of its time. To give some perspective to some listeners that might be curious, where would you say Weng Weng rates compared to another classic, such as, say, Nuki?
Oh, I think they're on the same playing field.
Top of the heap.
Dude, can you imagine a Nuki and Weng Weng crossover? When you can imagine a universe like that, that means these are good franchises. If you can't imagine the universe, no good.
I can definitely imagine that. Yes.
I can imagine it too. It would be great. God, Nuki would just be dancing. Weng Weng would be doing his karate, slipping around him. There was a part in Weng Weng in this movie where he's just hiding in a bush. Like it's the littlest bush. And four men couldn't find him because he was just sneaking around through this little bush around their legs, kicking them in the balls. Just a lot of ball kicking.
Lots of ball kicking.
So I would think Nuki would get his nuts kicked a lot.
There's a lot of bad movies out there, but this one and Nuki both get the chef's kiss as far as just so bad they're good.
I think this would end in one of those. Weng Weng figures out that Nuki is actually a pure heart, and Nuki appeals to Weng Weng's good, nature, and they end up teaming up and they go after the real bad guy.
This thing's writing itself.
Well, you know who the bad guy is? Did you catch who the bad guy was?
Mr. Big?
Mr.
Giant.
Mr. Giant?
Mr. Giant.
Did you get far enough to meet Mr. Giant?
I did. Should I have recognized him from something else? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm getting at that he's another little person.
He's another little person. Yes. No, I knew that. I thought you were saying like that person, that actor was somebody that became something else. And I was like, no, I didn't look like anything I would recognize. But yes, he's another little person. And that's the whole twist.
What a twist. What an inappropriate twist. But
yes.
How did that fight end? Like it just, I don't want to ruin this for everybody. If you've seen Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, this isn't Enter the Dragon.
No.
The final fight is not Enter the Dragon. Just guys, go see this movie for your height only. Trust us.
We're bringing you new stuff. And there's definitely not too much CGI, so it has that seal of approval.
Damn right. What else are you watching? You can't just be watching Weng Weng.
Nothing else as good as Weng Weng, but I went ahead and watched the Muppet Mayhem series, all 10 episodes.
You made it through.
I did. I limped to the finish line. It did not capture the magic of that Jason Segel Muppets movie, though. It really fell short for me.
I was watching one part where I guess the female of the group, Janice, I think her name is Janice,
yes,
was trying to appeal to one of the sisters to go make up with the other sister, and I was like, all right, this is melodrama now. I ejected so fast I went through the roof.
So I guess the funniest part of the show was supposed to be the cameos, and there were some good cameos. We had Machete, Danny Trejo. We had Cheech and Chong in there, who apparently used to just do drugs with the band and crashed out at their band house, and were waiting for them for the past 30 to 40 years until they came back with a pizza. It was just like a throwaway Cheech and Chong cameo. And then there were apparently other people who I guess I'm just not in the know enough to know that that person was supposed to be somebody. Like that producer guy was playing himself. And I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you to this day what his name was.
I didn't catch that.
No, but there's like people who I didn't know. But you're right. Then it just became like this like sappy drama and this will they, won't they love triangle. And it was just the sisters were fighting, like you said. And I wanted more Muppets. Get me more Muppets.
Yeah, I heard it was going to be more like Game of Thrones inspired, and there was a lot of sex and nudity. But
what?
Yeah, that's what I heard. But I think I was reading two articles at the same time, and I mixed the stories up.
I was going to say, were you reading The Onion? Is that still a thing?
Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Well, I decided to go celebrate the death of Tina Turner.
Celebrate the death of Tina Turner. You went to go honor the death of Tina Turner, honor the memory of Tina Turner.
No, I probably celebrated the death. I always find it really fun when celebrities die. I don't know why. It's just interesting to me.
All right. Well, how did you achieve this morbid feat?
By watching a very morbid movie featuring Tina Turner. I went and I watched the Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
We don't need another hero.
No, we don't. We don't. But that is a morbid movie. I like those Mad Max movies. They're morbid in a fun way.
Yeah.
But they leave you like, this could really happen. We really could turn this savage.
You know, you ended our episode with Will as that being the outro. That was the song you played, We Don't Need Another Hero. I really forgot it was from that soundtrack.
Oh, really? She was good in that movie, man.
She was.
So how about that little guy, Master Blaster? I must have never seen this movie all the way through because I remember him being the bad guy. And I don't remember him coming around and being seen as the good guy and Tina Turner being the bad guy.
Yeah.
So that was a twist. I enjoyed that. I was like, oh shit. It's new to me because I don't remember this.
I'd have to see it again, but I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I like Master Blaster. He's cool. Master Blaster run Bartertown. Who run Bartertown, Scott?
Master Blaster run Bartertown.
Me order, me master.
I really find it strange with these movies how they tie together in very loose ways. Like in this case, we had Max, right? But he was already kind of a badass living on his own. He had this giant van or truck that, it ended up somebody stealing, and that's how he kind of got introduced to the thing. But he lost his humanity. He wasn't the same guy. He was the cop in Road Warrior. And then they had to be using the same actors sometimes. Like the guy in the plane in Road Warrior was different than this guy who was in, or not Road Warrior. Road Warrior.
Road Warrior,
they mix characters around. It gets really confusing. It's very much like, hey, don't think too, just go with it.
Right.
So when they made this new Mad Max movie with Tom Hardy, it's not Mel Gibson. I'm like, oh, it's probably a different universe. I'll bet you it's supposed to be the same universe. They're just saying go with it.
Yeah.
There was a funny bit of trivia. I remember they said Tina Turner, they wanted somebody to play the character of Mama or Auntie. Her name was Auntie in there. And they're like, we need somebody like Tina Turner, somebody strong and fierce. They're like, why don't we just get Tina Turner?
Yeah.
So they asked Tina Turner, and she's like, I guess I'll do it, but you got to let me drive one of the cars because this franchise, the movies are known for these really epic car chases.
Yeah.
So they get her a car, and they're putting these junky cars together for the movie set, and they're all stick shift. And she's like, oh no, I don't know how to do stick shift. So they're like, we got to figure this shit out now. But yeah, it was a good movie. Great 80s movie.
Yeah.
Well, I got a fuck uppery, I got to admit.
I hope this one's on you and not me this week. I've been eating a lot of shit lately.
It's on Spotify. Apologies to everybody who listened a couple episodes ago on the Spotify app. Apparently, if you listen on the Spotify app, we sounded like dog shit. Most people listen to us on the Spotify app. So, yay. So I had to do tons of research. We hosted Buzzsprout. I wrote to Buzzsprout. I'm like, what the fuck did you guys do? You sent out a file that sounds like poopy. And they're like, oh, it's not us. Spotify did something to it on their end. So I wrote to Spotify after navigating a million channels to finally find somebody. They say it's not us. We don't add anything. Bullshit.
No accountability.
So I go online. I go to the web version. That plays fine. The Spotify web version plays fine. It's the app.
Yeah.
The fucking app. So they're like, well, some people can, you can go into settings on the Spotify app and you can turn it up. If you ever hear it's like too quiet, maybe you have shitty headphones, you can go into the settings and turn it up. So they're like, maybe everybody listening to your show did that.
Yeah, that's plausible.
Yeah. Well, nope. I already checked. My wife said she heard the same problem. I checked my phone settings, her phone settings, and that's the craziest thing. You do everything right, and still there's some sort of glitch in the fucking matrix with this podcasting. It's still not a perfect art form yet, guys.
No. I actually ended up listening to it on the Buzz, actually right off of our website. I launched it right from the website and it sounded fine, but it was not on Spotify. I typically listen back on Spotify on Monday mornings just to hear how your edit went. And I was like, yeah, dude, this sounds blown out. Like, I can't listen to this. It's unlistenable. And they said, yeah, no problem. Can't figure out what it is. And we upload the same file to all the different players. So it made no sense that Apple iPod or Apple podcasting would be fine and Spotify would be dog shit. Made no sense.
Nope. No sense at all. But, what's not fun is being the customer in between two companies I pay, and they're both telling me it's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling. It's like, well, what am I going to do if both of you don't want to take responsibility for this? So just walked away. Let's do another episode and hope it sounds better. That's the approach we took.
All I kept thinking, though, was like, God forbid, what happens if somebody tunes in for the first time and this is what they hear and it's unwatchable and they're not coming back for that. We're trying to grow a show here, people.
And responsible show growing is to say what I'm about to say at the beginning of the show, but I forgot to do that. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you would be so kind, be sure to reach out to your friends who you think would also like this kind of show. It's really hard to get heard out there in the sea of all of the other podcasts that are running around. I heard that some 50% never get past 11 episodes. So we're kicking ass there, Scott.
Cool.
I think we're up to episode
29.
30. We're 29.
Still fun.
Yeah. So we're still doing it, but we'd love to get bigger, and bigger is always better. So we would love for you to help us out with just promotion. Just tell your friends about us. That's it. That's all we're asking. And we can chat with you. If you want to communicate with us, we can go to the Twitterverse, the Zack Snyder Twitterverse. And you can tweet us at Too Much CGI. We can talk there. You can go to toomuchcgi.com. You can send us emails. You can listen to all our episodes there. What else can I tell you? Scott, what did I miss? Facebook? We got a presence on. Are we on TikTok?
I'm not dancing on TikTok.
Did any of our kids put us on TikTok?
No.
Okay.
But we are on YouTube. We're on the YouTube. We're on the Facebook.
Yeah, we're on the YouTube.
We're just about every place else.
Oh, YouTube's a whole nother nightmare. That's another issue. I'm trying to export little videos just to put them on YouTube, and YouTube can't figure out why we can't upload this file. Unknown reason. Well, how the hell do you call YouTube and go, hey, can you tell me what this unknown reason is? Because I don't know what I'm doing here. Just mysteries. Unsolvable mysteries everywhere these days. Well, what are we talking about today, Scott?
Today we're going to launch a little bit of a mini-series here, Bill. No really set release schedule for this, but you said earlier on that we do a lot of nostalgia and reminiscing and things from when we were kids. And what better way to do that than by thinking about the toys we played with? We mentioned some toys on some other episodes before, but I think we should really spend some time doing a deep dive on what these toys are and what they inspired and what they were inspired by and really what their history was. And ultimately, where are those toys today? Both literal toys and also the intellectual property that they were based off of. So today's going to be episode 1 in our nostalgic toy look back. And today we're going to focus on the original action figure, G.I. Joe.
Oh, I was hoping today would be about sex toys.
That is the original action figure.
Remember when they came out with Kung Fu Grip in the adult world?
Oh my God!
But G.I. Joe. Let's keep on target here.
Let's keep it talking about G.I. Joe. Let's stay on target.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
What was your memory of G.I. Joe?
G.I. Joe came out at about the same time as Transformers. I have a brother, my brother Jim. He's about 2 years younger than me. Somehow he became more of the G.I. Joe guy, and I became more of the Transformers guy. As years went on, I grew to love G.I. Joe. I would steal his toys and play with them as much as I would play with mine. I started to get my own G.I. Joe toys. So I was a little later to the game, but I had lots of stuff. I remember the Zartan period. That's when I came into it.
I had Zartan. Yes. But you're way off the mark here. G.I. Joe may have came into your world around the same time as Transformers, but G.I. Joe came into the world in 1964. And it was brought into life by the Mattel Company, the same creators of another doll you may have heard of, Barbie. G.I. Joe was their attempt to be the action figure for boys.
Well, they couldn't call them dolls. You can't put out a doll for boys.
Boys don't play with dolls.
So you rename it, you create a whole new segment, you name it action figures.
Action figures. That's why he was the first one. G.I. Joe was very much just a soldier. He would come. You mentioned the Kung Fu Grip. Some of them had the Kung Fu Grip. Some of them were based on the Seal Man and then the wetsuit. And some were the Army Man and some were sailors. And they had, just like Barbie, it was a 12-inch doll, had all of the different outfits, had all of the different accessories, all the things that girls were buying, Skipper dolls and the Sister of Barbie and the Dream House and the Corvette, and the boys were buying all the different accessories for the G.I. Joe doll. And this was done to amazing success. According here to History.com, by 1966, G.I. Joe accounted for nearly 2/3 of Hasbro's profits. However, as support for the Vietnam War declined, so too did G.I. Joe's popularity. So a lot of the enthusiasm that they had around G.I. Joe, just due to negative feelings around the Vietnam War, the feelings towards an action figure based on a soldier also declined. So while G.I. Joe came second to Barbie, it was a much more advanced toy in a number of different ways, much more articulated. You mentioned the Kung Fu Grip.
What was that?
His hand could actually grip the gun. It was like a spring-loaded thumb, so it had like a Kung Fu grip thing, and I think his arm actually punched as well.
It was spring-loaded, because later the toys that we had, the little 6-inch figures, they were just plastic, and the hand was open to hold a gun, and I never knew why they called it the Kung Fu Grip.
So here you go. In the early 1970s, Hasbro released a new version of G.I. Joe that had a beard with less explicit connection to the U.S. military and a Kung Fu grip. which just meant you could bend his hand. That's all it meant.
That's terrible. That's lazy. Just lazy toy making.
Yes, but to talk about the G.I. Joe toys that you were referring to, another popular toy line came about by Kenner, featuring another very popular intellectual property, little thing known as Star Wars. And Star Wars came out with their 3 3/4 inch action figures, and they were fucking popular as all get out. Meanwhile, the popularity of the 12-inch G.I. Joe figure was still going on, so they figured, hey, we're going to make our figures a little bit smaller. So in the 1980s, G.I. Joe came out with the G.I. Joe figures you were talking about. Not based on U.S. military, still had that patriotic sense with Colonel Hawk, I believe was his name. But then they got like real crazy and they brought in like Cobra Commander and like the evil bad guys, and it became a lot more comic booky. So what were some of your favorite characters from the 1980s toy line?
The ones that were in the Village People.
Oh, the sailor.
I like them. I like the Village People. Yeah, the sailor with the bird. I liked what's his name? What was that guy's? Shipwreck.
Shipwreck, yep.
Yeah. I liked there was one summer, my neighbor and I even think I talked about it on this show. We had a G.I. Joe adventure for the entire summer in his backyard. Every day we would pick up on the story where we left off and just made it up as we went. And I was the guy who would wear a red shirt with it was a football jersey, and he had a dog. And I can't remember if the guy's name was Mutt or the dog's name was Mutt.
The dog's name was Mutt. His name was Bulkhead, I want to say. No, that can't be right. Bazooka.
Well, whatever it is. And then I had him. I liked him. And of course, I liked all the ninjas, right? Had to be Snake Eye and Storm Shadow.
Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, yep.
Yeah. And I was just big into the whole Cobra thing. I thought the Cobra vehicles looked really cool. Because by the time I got into it, they had like those Hiss tanks.
Yes.
No, actually, the Hiss tanks, I remember my brother having that when he had all of these standard looking G.I. Joe vehicles, like a regular looking, Sherman tank and a regular looking Jeep. And all of a sudden, the bad guys had this really interesting looking front lifted tank. So it wasn't like a round tread.
Tank.
Yeah, it was like a strange triangle tread. And I was just like, that's cool. I remember always loving that. And then after that, I started to notice that my brother's toys were getting cooler and cooler and cooler. And that's about when I came in. Once I saw Zartan, whose skin could change color, I was like, now toys are getting really cool on the G.I. Joe side. I have a question for you. Why do you think they got smaller? Why did Kenner come out and say, you know what? Everybody likes bigger. Bigger is always better. So Kenner comes out and says, we're going to make these smaller toys. I'm surprised they sold well when I would think the kids wanted bigger toys. Bigger toys can do more things. You can put the guns in their hands better. You can you can create things behind them, pull strings, and they talk. These little toys, they didn't give you a ton of variety. They were just molds. And if the molds weren't good, the toy wasn't good.
Yeah, the Star Wars toys didn't do much. I mean, they could their arms could go straight up and their legs could go straight out. You can make them sit flat. But G.I. Joe, when they came out with their 3 3/4 inch, they were very well articulated. Their elbows were hinged. Their knees were hinged. They had many more points of articulation than any other toy of its size or even bigger. You think about Barbie dolls today, they still only move at the hips and the shoulders. They don't articulate.
Pretty familiar with Barbie dolls, huh?
I have a daughter. We have a dream house.
Likely story.
Never mind that they're all not wearing clothes.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
You're right. They did add the bending knees and the elbows. That was different from the Kenner Star Wars line. But I don't know. I always found it all just so frustrating. I had guns laying around, backpacks laying around for both my Star Wars and G.I. Joe. But getting these fucking things to hold on to anything was impossible. So I just didn't even bother. And when I got older and I saw toys like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that were bigger figures and you could pull levers and they do this and that and this, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know, G.I. Joe never got to experience that kind of toy line. Cobra Commander, I loved him. Destro, the bad guys were very cool. I didn't like Baroness. I didn't like Major Blood. They annoyed me. But once they got into the Zartan and the Dreadnoughts, did I say that right? Yeah, it's Dreadnoughts.
Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, then shit was getting really cool. I was like, this is wicked.
Zartan was the master of disguise, and like you said, if you had him out in the sun, the light would change his skin from light to dark, and he actually had a mask that would fit into his backpack. That was one of the last G.I. Joe figures I owned.
I forgot about the mask. That's right. He had a skin mask. Nasty.
Regular Buffalo Bill.
Regular Leatherface. And then I remember he had the Ford Dreadnoughts all had these like crazy swamp vehicles, and they were all fucking idiot savages. They were cool. I liked them. Then they did the same thing Transformers did, right? Because both of them, G.I. Joe and Transformers, were very run by that cartoon, or they were using that cartoon as a commercial. We learned all about this with, we were talking to Will last week talking about this. So they decided, let's make a movie. Transformers is making a movie. We're going to make a G.I. Joe movie as well. And do you know this story? So they went down the same road and they were going to kill Duke. So they put out the Transformers movie and they kill Optimus Prime in the Transformers movie. And the kids,
parents flipped out.
The kids go fucking nuts. And everybody's pissed. Parents are writing to everybody. It's just a shit show. So at the last minute, if you watch that G.I. Joe movie, Duke, who's dead, suddenly shows up at the end. Hey, I'm okay, guys. And they just like quickly wrote him back in because they were afraid of that backlash. But I remember hating the movie. They added a whole shit ton new characters. Serpentine guy, Serpentor, that was his name. And they got rid of Cobra Commander and Destro, and it was like a changing of the guard. And I didn't stick with that.
Didn't they also introduce like a Colonel Hawk or someone that was supposed to be the replacement for Duke during that movie?
Yeah, there was a Hawk. Right. Yeah. Scarlet went away. There was a Lady J. Yeah, everybody got kind of flipped. I didn't realize that. Yep. But yeah, I guess that happened. Snake Eyes stayed a constant throughout.
Yeah, but even Snake Eyes changed. Snake Eyes was like always the totally blacked out ninja. They almost introduced a Snake Eyes that had like a robotic type mask on, and he was like blue, and he had like neon on him, and he had like laser swords, and it was almost like a Cyrax or a Sector from Mortal Kombat type metal ninja type thing.
Well, they had that G.I. Joe Renegades show they put out when my son was about 7 or 8. We kind of got into a little G.I. Joe kick. You may not even remember that toy line. It came and went. The show came and went.
No.
It was okay. It was like 8 G.I. Joes. I can't remember who they were. It was coming out when the movie was sort of, when they were making the G.I. Joe movies. It came out on the cartoon channels.
Okay.
It was nothing. Didn't last. Didn't have the magic.
So to keep this in line with the Transformers parallel that you drew, this would have been coming out, this Renegades would have been coming out right around the same time that Beast Wars was coming out for Transformers?
Maybe.
Originally?
Maybe.
Like late 90s?
2010, probably.
Yeah. Well, let's spend some time talking about that G.I. Joe cartoon. What are your memories of the G.I. Joe cartoon?
Same animation as Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the same voices. I'm blanking on any storylines, to be honest with you. They're all kind of throwaway storylines. They're all self-contained storylines. And then at the end, you got the moral lesson.
The obligatory moral lesson brought about by educational necessity in children's programming.
Wow. Did Transformers or anybody else have to do that?
Not to that extent. I'm sure it was a moral of the story, but man, G.I. Joe hit you over the head with it.
You know what? I know another thing I'm thinking about G.I. Joe for. Anytime a ship blew up, you'd have to see a guy jump out with a parachute. You never saw anybody die.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of that whole morality, thing you're talking about.
Could be. I also remember that they always shot laser beams. They never shot bullets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It was always like good guys shoot blue, bad guys shoot red. Very much like Transformers. Do you know when the series jumped the ship for me? And this is what the cartoon reminds me of. When Sergeant Slaughter became a G.I. Joe, I was okay with William the Refrigerator Perry. I thought that was funny. That was cool. But here comes Sergeant Slaughter, a guy that actually had ties to the military and probably had more of a right to be a soldier in the G.I. Joe army. He just annoyed the shit out of me.
I liked it.
Yeah, you did.
Me and my brother sent away for that and Refrigerator Perry, yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that? The 1985 Bears? That's where William the Refrigerator Perry came from?
Super Bowl Shuffle.
And he got his own G.I. Joe from that.
He sure did.
Did anybody else come out? Was anybody else a mail away?
I remember I had Sergeant Slaughter, but I think I just bought that in the store. I don't know that the one I had was anything special.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't a mail away. But those mail aways were fun. I was into those. Like I remember getting the Boba Fett pretty early, but I didn't get the Boba Fett with the shooting rocket.
I got a Obi-Wan Kenobi in his Jedi robes, and that was a mail away. So I had that. I might still have it, actually.
I got the guy who sits next to Lando Calrissian.
Oh, Yen Noob?
That was a mail away. I scored him. Who else? There's a few others. I think I got the Emperor as a mail away.
We're way off target here, Bill. We're talking about G.I. Joe.
But I'm moving into the G.I. Joe. I know, but I'm just thinking like it was a trend that was, I guess, happening. And I'm trying to remember, was there more G.I. Joes than that? I think there were. I think there were some other mail-aways. Those are the only two I remember, Sergeant Slaughter and Refrigerator Perry, because they were famous characters. Why didn't you like it, though?
What started happening when they introduced him into the cartoon and into the toy line, he started doing all the commercials, and he was just too in your face for me. I know he was a drill sergeant. I know that was his whole thing. I didn't care for him as a wrestler, and now here he is invading my G.I. Joe cartoons. Like, I had enough of this fucking guy.
Keep your chin where it belongs, Slaughter.
Yeah, your big-ass dimpled chin. But they really doubled down hard on Slaughter. He was everywhere. Every promotion, every toy commercial, every fucking everything. Once he was brought in, he was the face of the fucking brand. And it bothered me. It could have been that third changing in the guard.
Yeah, I was pretty much out after that. Once they put out that aircraft carrier.
I was huge.
Yeah, the kid next door got it. We thought his parents loved him more than our parents loved us. So we go over to his house, and I mean, this thing took up the entire side of his room, his family room.
Yeah.
It was too big.
Yeah.
But it was impressive.
It was like the size of a twin bed.
You know, you must really love your Navy battles, your naval battles. That thing was expensive, too.
So my brother had, like, much like you, my brother Todd had more of the G.I. Joes than what I had. And we didn't have a lot. Like, we maybe had like a dozen, no more than 24 characters. But much like you said you did with your neighbor, like playing with those guys in the garden, you could have like epic battles and stage them. And, you know, I see guys online now, they're like posing them and taking pictures with dry ice and doing like real photography with these soldiers. But, you know, we were doing that as kids, just setting up like full on battle stories like you were talking about. We didn't do it for a full summer, but it was a damn good time.
Look, we had local satellite rabbit ears, not even satellite. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what those things are called. Rabbit ears.
Antennas.
Yeah, that was our satellite back then. Antennas, yeah. We were starving for good shit. So we had to make up our own adventures. And that's why these toys sold so fucking well. Whether it was Thundercats or He-Man or Mask or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Little kids loved making their own adventures. Now there's so much content, you don't have to be imaginative. You know, that's the tongue-in-cheek thing about our show. Too much CGI it takes away some of the wonder of these things. But that's what the 80s was with these cartoons. They were showing us things that we hadn't seen before. They were basically letting us fill in the blanks with the toys.
Yeah.
Creating our own adventures. I loved it.
And to that point, my kids now, we bought them toys. You know, it was always like the flavor of the month. They'd want this. They'd be really into this. That whole birthday would be that theme. Never lasted. Never had any kind of staying power because all they want to do is fucking play video games and watch YouTube.
Yeah, their culture is different than ours, dude.
It is.
So it's funny that you're bringing this up. I actually went downstairs into the basement the other day because I was thinking about some of the old Star Wars toys that I had, and I'm looking right over here. Like I pulled up the Wampa, you know, the Tauntaun from 1983, like, and everything here. That there's 2 stormtroopers here that are yellow, you know. And I saw a ton of G.I. Joe down there, but there was one box that held G.I. Joe scraps, which, by the way, they don't hold well. You know, anything now, at least in my box of G.I. Joe toys, every G.I. Joe is in half because that little rubber band
snapped.
Has just worn away.
It's dry rotted.
Yeah, so maybe I didn't store them right. Maybe other people have stored them better, but yeah, they're useless.
You took them out of the box, you fucking idiot.
I know. I bought 2, one to display and one to play with. But it's just all junk. I just have tons of G.I. Joe scraps. A missile here, a plate that covered, you know, an engine there. It's just junk.
Your discovery of this box brings up another fantastic memory for me. Nothing burned quite like a G.I. Joe soldier. So some of those epic battles ended in horrific losses. And damn it, our G.I. Joe stories had consequences, and they really had sacrifices of those soldiers. Because, after a while, you could get bored with the toy and maybe light a match or find a lighter somewhere, and they burned really good.
You burned your toys. You're a little crazy kid.
Maybe.
Call you Damien. I never burned my toys. I never played that rough with them.
No?
Ever. Mm-mm. I always enjoyed finding like a good tree system and like roots popping out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And they would be like the off-road terrain that my G.I. Joe toys would ride on. But I thought about blowing them up. Like, let's have this guy go through a minefield. But no, I never wanted to lose a toy. It's a hoarder at 8 years old, apparently.
So now, sadly, we have to talk about where all these franchises we fondly remember as children, where they all seem to go to die. And that is present day live action movies. And I'm talking about 2009's G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, and 2013's G.I. Joe, Retaliation. Had you watched the movies? Did you get through the movies? What were your memories of these movies when they came out?
I wanted to like them so bad. It was right when Transformers had, hit the big screen in live action. I was like, we're going to get that for G.I. Joe. And I was so disappointed. It was so dumb. Look, the Marlon brothers, the Wayans brothers, Marlon Wayans, is that his name?
That's his name, yeah.
Like, I get they got to put a comedy guy in. They got to put,
Channing Tatum.
Tough guy. Yeah, it was so tropey.
Yeah.
That didn't work for me. And then the characters looked the same. Like, I kind of remember none of them stood out as their own personalities. They were kind of like the X-Men. Everybody was in a black outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Nobody was in the big number 14 red football jersey.
And did they have some kind of power suit? So they were all the same character.
They almost went the route like I remember the rebranding of Snake Eyes was. And you remember the rebranding of Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander used to have just like a blue sheet over his face, and that was like his mask. It was like a blue mask.
No, I think you got it reversed. The shield came first, and then the sheet came.
I thought it was just a blue like rag, and then he had a shield, and then he had like a metal silver angular thing.
Ooh, this is controversial. I'm convinced I'm right because he didn't wear the metal shield in the movie when he turned into a snake.
Right.
He was in the cloth.
Right.
So that means he would start in the metal shield in season 1 or 2 and then move into the cloth in 3.
I think you might be right. I think yeah, okay.
I definitely like the shield better. That was a cooler look.
The shield was cool. The third look that they came out with him, again, much more samurai looking, much more silver and blue, and not the original plain blue helmet, almost like a Darth Vader helmet, like the back of Darth Vader's helmet, with just that mirrored silver front. No expression, no nothing.
Too sci-fi.
It was real cool looking, though.
Yeah, but it was too sci-fi for me. Like, I liked the G.I. Joe was grounded, but yeah, once everything starts to get too off this world, and, the monsters started to come in that movie. There was a whole bunch of, I can't remember what they're called, but that Serpentor. There was another monster with a snake tail.
Yeah, because at first Cobra was not like necessarily snake people, but then they made them snake people, which was weird.
Yeah, that was dumb. Terrible.
Really dumb. But to your point, on the movie, they had power suits and they were running around the city with power suits, and it was just not great. It wasn't great writing. I feel like it was really, and what you'll find is a trend for a lot of these things that we're going to talk about in this Toys miniseries. A lot of these live action movies that come out from these intellectual properties, I feel like they just rely on too much CGI and they're banking on nostalgia to sell tickets, but there's really no substance to it. And I really felt that it was a disservice to the original subject matter.
The second movie was interesting because they're like, all right, the first one sucked.
Yeah.
We're going to acknowledge it. However, in the meantime, Channing Tatum has become a huge star, so we must acknowledge him.
Yes.
So he put, he's Duke in the thing. And now in the second movie, I think I heard that he said, look, you can't pay my rate now, but I'll come back if you want to kill me off in the beginning, and you'll get like a little bit of me for a discount. I don't know if that's true. That's sticking in my head. But then you can tell that, they wanted star power because they went with Bruce Willis and The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah, Dennis Quaid did not come back, and they went with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dennis Quaid. Yeah, I forgot he was in it.
He was in the first one, yeah.
Nobody's looking for Randy Quaid, are they?
He'd probably make a hell of an entertaining video.
Did you watch any of the Snake Eyes movies? I just I don't
Oh,
care.
no, I didn't.
just don't care.
I didn't. And that was where it was just the ninjas, which, going back to when we were kids talking about how those were some of our favorite characters, you'd think that movie would have more of a meaning for me, but I feel like those first two movies just were so bad I was not going back to the well.
They Legend of Chun-Li'd it. They tried to have a spin-off with a character that we kind of liked and just didn't make a good movie, and it just, the character wasn't strong enough to sell the tickets.
You said it, man. So sadly, that's where G.I. Joe is today. That's a very broad overview. I'm sure there's a lot more intricacies that we did not get into here in this little segment, but I feel that is a good way to start off our Toys mini-series of nostalgia of things we played with back in the day. But I think probably they were doomed from the start because the stories we probably made up in our backyards, no Hollywood writer was going to come up with stories better than what we dreamt up as kids.
For me, it was, they see something, they're like, we got to change the formula to make it work on TV. X-Men, again, I'll bring it up. Oh, those costumes will look ridiculous. Put everybody in black leather. They did the same thing with Transformers to a degree. They're like, we can't make them look like the old 80s toys. Well, I don't know if you've seen the Bumblebee, and I think in this new Transformers movie, he's looking like the 80s toys.
Yes.
So they fucked with the formula, and now they realize that people are more attracted to the thing that they're used to, and G.I. Joe might have a shot if they come out again and make interesting characters, because we thought they were interesting characters as toys.
Sure.
We can like them again, but I think you have to play it a lot more like the original lore of the toy and the cartoon, and don't take these fucking risks. It's silly to me.
I agree, man. Don't recreate the wheel. Then there's a thin line, though. Like, how much of that would just be viewed as fan service and shrugged off, and we'd have a problem with that, too. Like, I feel like they either don't go far enough or they go too far. I don't know. There's nobody walking that tightrope for me right now.
You got to be really creative to be able. It's kind of like a cover song. Somebody who's going to cover the Beatles and then go try to put that out as a single. You better have a really fucking 1 in a million good idea to be better than the original.
I like it. That's a perfect analogy. And I think we can close the segment up right there.
I did hear a rumor, and I haven't heard this in a while, so maybe it's bullshit, but when the MCU started to really do well, everybody wanted their own extended universe, right? There was the Dark Monsters, what they call that, the Hollywood Monsters?
Universal Monsters?
Universal. Yep. They had their world. Everybody was getting their world. Ghostbusters is getting their world. I heard all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
So I also heard that there's going to be a Hasbro universe where Transformers will fight with G.I. Joe and whatever other toys that are owned. And there's not that many real good other Hasbro names.
Yeah.
So they were dropping these names in, and I was kind of like, I kind of remember that toy. I'm not sure I want to see that toy brought to the big screen, but they're like, we're going to bring all these toys back. What about Battleship? Was that a Mattel? Like, you better be careful. If you don't bring back good toys, you're going to lose a lot of money in the box office. Don't just bring back toys because you have the license. Bring back things that people still care about. Let's move on to the news.
Yeah, dude. What we got?
Did you hear about Michael J. Fox?
I heard he fell in Philadelphia at a fan event. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for the guy.
I'm just curious if you saw that. Like I'm looking at the video right now. He looks great. And then he just stumbles over his foot and looks like an ass.
Yeah.
And he pulls it off. He jumps up. He's looking great. But yeah, that was an embarrassment.
Yeah, he fell like on a sofa.
Yeah. And everything's good. But like, dude, New York Post, you didn't have to run that, man.
You dick!
So here's an article from Inside the Magic discussing a possibility of Robert Englund returning as Freddy Krueger. But unfortunately, he has no interest in doing that.
He says he's not.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
People want him. He hates being in that makeup. I get it. I would hate it too. The older you get, probably the less that even becomes tolerable.
Yeah.
He was actually put back into that makeup for a quick cameo in the Goldbergs, and it didn't look that good. It was like kind of shitty TV makeup.
I saw that. Yeah.
That 2010 reboot, terrible. Didn't work at all. Didn't ignite. So I don't know. It's like, this is a franchise that makes money, but if it doesn't have Robert Englund, I don't think you make him anymore. You just put this one to bed.
But yeah, the Stranger Things was the last thing I saw Robert Englund do, where he played like a convicted murderer, accused of like killing his family or something. Equally creepy without the makeup. He still has that creep factor.
Yeah. Yeah. He just doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, what can we can't be like, you asshole, go be Freddy for us, Guy don't want to do it anymore. What can you do? I read about this all the time since I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan and and a Jason fan. You get the same news from all these sites and yeah, I mean once a year somebody writes a story about is Freddy coming back, and then it ends no PA coming back. So this is this year's version of that story.
I think he's ready to pass that razor glove on to the next person.
I don't know, man. It's like they're doing that thing. Scream's getting kind of hot again. Halloween got hot again. They're trying to get Chainsaw Massacre hot again. They're putting out a TV show for Jason, right? Friday the 13th is getting a TV show.
That's right. We talked about that.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yep.
And what's left? Freddy Krueger. So they're trying to figure out how to do something with this franchise.
Or once again, they just fucking around with nostalgia and murder porn, which is the horror equivalent of too much CGI. I don't know, man.
That's 100% my problem with that remake and the Friday the 13th remake. I can't stand it because they took all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
These weren't like, oh my God, these are scary monsters. Ah, that's funny. Like, could you imagine them really being in our world and killing us in these crazy ways? And now you watch these movies and it looks too real.
Yeah.
And it's just a serial killer movie. And it's not that supernatural, this can't really happen fantasy monster movie.
Right.
They are now two totally different movies. But one of the things that I really liked a couple of years ago, they put out a Friday the 13th video game, and they really painstakingly went into detail to create a map and versions of Jason that were right out of every movie. And it was a great game, but the lawsuit between the writer and the director stopped everything. It killed the game. But Fangoria magazine, I don't know if you used to read Fangoria magazine. I did as a kid.
I remember it.
Apparently they're still around. Fangoria announces that a new Friday the 13th video game is in development. This news comes directly from Harry Manfredini, the composer for nearly every movie in the franchise since the original back in 1980. Yeah, he came up with that. You know what that is?
No.
He's the guy that came up with that, and he was working on the score, and they had Pamela, right, the mother, running around saying kill for mother. So he's like, I need effects. How about k for kill, ma for mother? So it's k k k ma ma ma, and nobody ever gets that right. So everybody thinks it's k k k cha cha cha, but it's kill for mother. There you go. Little bit of information. So I'll continue this story here. Manfredini hinted that the game would feature more realistic looking characters compared to the 2017 version of the game. The studio developing the game, the platforms it will be on, and its release date are yet to be announced. So that's very cool, because one of the things about the last game that people didn't like, it was a little cartoony.
Yeah.
But, if you could get past that, it was still a spectacular game. So now they'll try to make it more realistic. But it's like the kills in that game were just as silly as the old movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no way could anybody kill you the way that Jason kills you. But I'd play this game. I could go back to 1980s Jason if they do it right.
Yeah, we played it a lot at your house. Just a little bit of a setup for those that didn't play it. You would be randomly assigned, like one person would be Jason, everybody else is a random teenager. And the goal as a teenager is to survive and either get gas for the car to get away from Camp Crystal Lake or gas for the boat, was it? I forget. Basically, your goal is to escape.
He's for the car. Right.
Keys for the car, battery for the car, gas for the boat.
I think you got it.
Yeah.
Gas, no, you need gas for the car too.
Oh.
It was hard and you had to play with other people who were willing to play, with you.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other people that were just like, you know what? Here's how I'm going to play the game. I'm just going to hide. But if you worked as a team with these strangers, with kids, I don't even know if you know this, but there's a way that you can kill Jason in that game. But you have to get players who are going to work with
you. You had to have Jason's mom's head?
Sweater.
Okay, I knew there was something with Jason's mom you had to do.
And you have to knock the mask off Jason and wear it. And it's like, if you time everything perfectly, you can get out that way.
Wow.
But most ways you escape the match is just, surviving Jason long enough that you can fix a car and get out.
Yeah.
Sometimes the simplest games are the most fun. Man, and I would tell you, my Jason had this special power called stalk, and I would always assume where people were, and I would put the stalk mode on. So stalk mode meant if you're near a camp counselor, they don't hear the Jason music. If they hear the Jason music, they know you're near.
Right.
So stalk allows you to be very quiet. And I would have my phone, and I would have some like crazy song tuned onto my phone, and I would put it right next to my Microsoft Xbox headset. And I would just play, it would be like, I am the god of hellfire and I bring you fire. And I would play that. And it would scare the kids so bad. They would scream. You'd hear them scream. They were really afraid, these other kids that I'm playing. That's amazing.
The atmosphere that game created was no joke. Like, it really was like a creep factor. Like, you were being stalked. You had to get away. And it was all done by music. It was very Jaws-like in that way. Like, you heard the music. Jason was near. You didn't know where. And he would just smash through windows and kick in doors. And it was just fucking wild. It was a good time. It was just like basically a survival video game, but with Jason. And then we talked about this a little bit back because of that lawsuit. Didn't they reskin the original game as Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No, the company Gun that was part of making this game went and made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it looks a hell of a lot like Friday the 13th. It was what I said. Maybe it's we have this engine. Let's just port the franchise that we just obtained into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think it's supposed to be the same game.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Really on a horror kick here. BloodyDisgusting.com. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? There's a new comic series. Predator versus Wolverine.
Saw this story today.
Set to release in September, this series marks Predator's first introduction into the Marvel Universe. The 4-issue limited series will be written by Benjamin Percy, known for his work on Wolverine's solo series, and will feature a host of all-star artistic talent. The storyline will reveal a rivalry between Wolverine and a Yatuja?
That's what the Predator series, that's what their species is called.
Yatuja? Yatuya?
Yeah.
Yautja. And then in parentheses, Predator. I didn't know that. That's what they're really called?
That's what their alien species is called. Yeah, we call them predators because that's what they are, like character-wise, but they are the Yatuja.
The storyline will reveal a rivalry between Wolverine and the Predator who has been stalking him since his earliest days. So that's an interesting idea. It's like, I go to Earth to find the toughest creatures, and that's the one right there, Wolverine. I'm going to come back and get you one day. And they made a comic about it. So that's all right. I'm into that.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Yeah, the Predator was always like a Dark Horse comic, like from the Dark Horse comic line. I never knew that they were anything with Marvel nowadays. The idea of a crossover never even occurred to me until I saw that headline.
If it makes money,
sure,
they'll try it. Yeah. I wonder who goes to who in that situation. Hey, we're Marvel and we would love to have the Predator, but I doubt it's that. It's probably the people that own the Predator knocking on Marvel's door like, hey guys, you want to borrow this and we'll take 10% on the back end. I don't know how those work.
And honestly, I don't even know if Dark Horse Comics is a thing anymore. They could have got absorbed by Marvel long ago. This could have been a property that was just sitting on a shelf someplace.
Yeah, I've lost track of all of those comic companies.
Yeah.
Here's one from Yahoo Entertainment. Bryan Cranston. Are you a fan of him?
I do like Bryan Cranston, yeah.
I think everybody likes Bryan Cranston.
Seems like a real nice guy.
Seems like a nice guy. I'd have him over for dinner.
He's selling his tequila company, right?
He's selling his tequila company, Dos Hombres.
Yeah.
And he owns that with Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So do you know why he's doing this?
Humanitarian reasons, I think, right?
The article from Yahoo Entertainment says Bryan Cranston's plan is to wind down his career in the next few years temporarily. Temporarily, Scott. He's not going away. He's taking a break. In an interview with British GQ magazine, the Breaking Bad and Asteroid City star revealed his plans to shut down his production company and sell his half of Dos Hombres, which he co-founded with Aaron Paul, his co-star from Breaking Bad. Cranston also plans to move to another country, likely France, with his wife Robin Dearden for at least 6 months. In a statement on Instagram, he clarified that he's not retiring, but simply hitting the pause button for a year after he turns 70 in 2026. During this time, he plans to unplug from social media, step away from his business, and replenish his soul to prepare for future roles in a more authentic way. Interesting.
So not humanitarian, but I get that, man. Self-care is important. If I could afford to do that, I'd fucking do it.
I'd be afraid. I'd be terrified. The way Hollywood is, I mean, I don't even know there's going to be a Hollywood tomorrow. It's collapsing so fast and, reforming into the internet and the different kind of programming. But, you've seen people go away for a couple of years and we'd lose interest because we just haven't seen them. That would suck if that happens to him.
It's 6 months. So he's not talking about 6 years.
Yeah, that's nothing. But it's dangerous. Like, I'd be afraid to do it. I'd just be afraid.
To tie this back to a story that you did last week, if I were Mark Wahlberg and I was trying to pull this, I don't think everybody in Hollywood likes Mark Wahlberg, which is why he's trying to move Hollywood to Arizona. However, like you said when you started this story, I think most people like Bryan Cranston. I think Bryan Cranston can have no problem doing what he wants to do, stepping right back in. Marky Mark ain't got that kind of clout.
Hey, Brian, you ought to come over to my new Hollywood. We're going to Arizona. We're going to start a new Hollywood over there. Brian, I think you ought to
It's
come.
fucking wicked hardcore.
Look at how cold. We work out every morning. We work out 5 hours, and then we film movies. And then we go back and finish our workout. Here's an article from Giant Freaking Robot. Another one of the websites.
This website's usually these stories are dog shit. Like going back to our story from last week again. If there's a story that's going to lead you the wrong direction, it's Giant Freaking Robot.
Yeah, this is one I usually don't trust, but when they quote, I go, maybe I'll give you a little bit more faith.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because you haven't been sued for libel yet. The upcoming Beetlejuice 2 will heavily utilize practical effects, staying true to the spirit of the original film. Michael Keaton, who will reprise his role as the titular character, titular, shared this information in an interview with Empire. I like that. I like that they're not going to go CGI crazy. They're going to keep the old tone.
I hope they go back to, like I said, the stop motion animation, the puppets, all that stuff was very much a part of that original movie's feeling.
Yeah. Nothing to say there. Just that.
I'm glad to hear it. If there was ever a time that I wish Giant Freaking Robot was correct, now would be that time.
It says the film, which began shooting interior scenes in London on May 10th, 2023, is set for release on September 6th, 2024. That's probably where the lie is. That's where the bullshit is. We got you, freaking robot. Here's a story that I don't know if you have any interest in this, but growing up, I always loved E.T.
Sure.
I always loved